Hi, everyone. I'm Mandy-Lynn Donovan, and I'm your host of Port City Personalities here in St. Awesome, St. John, New Brunswick. Thanks so much for watching tonight. I'm really excited about tonight's guest. You will know from America's Got Talent, Vicki Barbolak, who is a comedian slash mother slash podcast turned trailer nasty, will be talking about many great things. We're going to cover Vicki's journey. So we're going to start off with talking about how Vicki started off in the carpet business and how she branched out taking comedy class from Pauly Shore's sister. We're going to be talking about what it was like for Vicki when she first got up on stage, and she's going to discuss some of the things that I know we're all wondering and curious about. What was her nerves like? What was it like performing in front of the judges and the process of that? Heidi Klum has been one of her idols that she was really excited to meet. So Vicki's going to be talking about what it was like meeting Heidi Klum, her security. She's going to be talking about being in front of Canadian legend Howie Mandel and what it was like. But as you guys might know from tuning in from AGT, is she's also known as Simon Cowell's girlfriend. And we're going to be talking about that. Vicki is currently hosting AGT live shows at the Luxor. She will be talking about what it's like doing the live shows, and we'll really be getting down to what's coming up for her and what her future schedule looks like with upcoming shows. We'll talk about some of the episodes that have been recorded of Trailer Nasty, and we'll be talking about where you can tune in to be able to listen to some of the shows and some of the great content that Vicki's been producing. Vicki has been a really strong person in her community, and she's going to cover what it's like working and her new celebrity status, who Vicki is quite frankly one of the most humble folks ever. She's also offered for my next wedding to officiate us, because Vicki also does wedding officiating and pretty much just anything. She's a really strong, awesome person. She's a really big person in her community, and for her to be able to take a step like this and to be able to take that leap and to go into comedy full time for her was quite the process. I'm really excited. This is going to be a wonderful hour that you're definitely going to love. Let's get started. Vicki, thanks so much for joining me today. I'm so excited. Look at our matching shirts.
I love it. I'm very happy. I'm going to press this button so this thing comes off your face. There we are. You look amazing.
That just stays on my face all the time. It's just always there. That's not.
I'd like it to cover one of my chins like a mask.
Just to go down the side of it. I am so happy to have you here today. Your Canadian audience is so happy to that you took some time out of your very busy schedule to chat with us.
Oh no, I'm so glad you invited me. The only place I've gotten to work so far is Calgary, and I had such a blast there. Those people party their brains out, and it was so beautiful. We went up to Banff, and but I can't wait to get the rest of Canada, because also I'm Ukrainian, so a lot of our family stopped in Canada on the way over here. So I've got a lot of ninja cousins from Canada that just show up at my trailer, and they call me in the morning. Hey, it's Gordon, we're here. And I'm like, you're lucky I'm home, Gordon. Just come on in. But
Gordon was at my house too, and he was saying,
at your house, he never leaves.
I know he doesn't. Didn't we just see Gordon go by at the beginning? When we started. All right, Vicki, let's start from the very beginning. Let's talk about who you are and where you're from.
Okay, so I'm a comedian, and I'm 64 years old, and I didn't start stand-up till I was 40. When I was, I've been raised around Southern California, and my dad started our carpet store for our family when I was 19, and so I worked there for 20 years before I started stand-up, and it was back in the days before. Do you have Yelp there in Canada?
Yes, we do.
Yeah, so this was in the days before Yelp, when you could treat customers like you wanted to. And it was a dump of a carpet store. We sold seconds, irregulars, just terrible stuff. And we didn't have a forklift, and I didn't wear shoes, and my dresses were short, and my underwear had holes. It was a terrible place to buy carpet, but you could save a lot of money. And so So we did pretty well, but I was never like happy in it. And then one day I was literally in the bathroom and I saw an ad for stand-up comedy hanging out of the trash can. I picked it up and it was Pauly Shore's sister Sandy teaching this class. And I didn't know who her mom was, which is Mitzi Shore, the owner of the Comedy Store and the like grandmother of comedy. I didn't know who she was, but I went and took the class and just, I had so much fun. And within a few years, I just told my parents, sell the shop. And my daughters and I moved into an 800 square foot, 1-bath trailer in a family mobile park because I was instantly poor. And we just started, I just started doing it. And it was crazy, stupid idea for somebody at 40 to do such a kind of irresponsible thing. But my daughters were real good about it, and we just somehow made it through. But there was times people dropped off groceries, you know. Ugh.
Yeah. So talk me through that process. So a lot of folks don't know that about being in arts or in comedy, that they assume that right away you're getting the best gig ever, you're getting paid top dollar. Talk about that. So you left a career that you have to pursue a dream.
Yeah. I left a business that we built for like nearly 20 years. And I just said, sell it. It's just never going to make me happy. There's no money. Maybe money can buy happiness, but it wasn't going to work for me in that situation. I just could not do it anymore. And so, but yeah, like when we worked at I got seen by Mitzi. She came down to the La Jolla Comedy Store one night, and the manager never put me on. He didn't really like women, and he didn't really like me. And he hated everyone that took Sandy's class because he thought it was stupid. So he didn't know that I'd been working really hard. But like every Sunday was open mic night. And I got so tired of hearing no. I made my daughter call and pretend to be me. She'd be like, hello. She was like 12. This is Vicki Barbolak. And I'd like to know if I have a spot. No. And then she would hang up. No, mom. But I had been working really hard at bars and stuff like every night. And one night I was there on open mic, just hanging out like I always did. And Mitzi walked in and she saw me and she said, put her on stage. And then I went on stage and I had a really great set because I'd been working so hard, but Fred, the manager, didn't know. And it was great. And she called me over to the booth and she goes, you're very funny. You're a regular. Now go away. And then I started working in Hollywood. But then in Hollywood, we got paid $10 for a original room set. And I think it was about $80 for a main room set. So, but then she really realized that I had 2 daughters and I was a sole caregiver. I got no money from my ex-husband, their dad. And so she would always make sure that I got one weekend every month in La Jolla store. And so I'd get $1,000. And she knew it was like our big nut. And then I worked in gay rooms for money through that period too. And then I got on America's Funniest Mom and I won that competition on a thing called Nick at Night. And then from then on, I could make a little bit more money doing like fundraisers and stuff. So we scraped by, but it was always fun. And my daughters were really good about it.
And thank you so much for that. So talk about, when did things start? When did you realize that this is going to be a career for you, that this is not just a dream, but I know that you were like very quickly, I have to make this into a reality. But when did you realize this is my career? This is my calling? Or did you always kind of subconsciously feel that?
No, it wasn't until like literally I took the class and I just loved the feeling of people's laughter coming at me. And then in about 3 or 4 years of doing it a lot, I just said, I don't want to do anything but this. So, and that's when I took that leap and sold the shop, told my parents to sell the business, and I moved into that trailer with my daughters. And then, then I had no idea what a wall there was around. I felt like, oh, here I am in Hollywood. I'm this carpet salesman mom driving up Sunset Boulevard, and I going into the Comedy Store and I'm parking in the comedian's parking lot. How can this be happening? So I didn't know that there was still quite a big wall around Hollywood besides Mitzi letting me in. Like no agents or managers would like look at me. They're like, you're too fat, you're too old. No. And there was like it's better now. It's definitely better for everybody, but then it was just seriously walled off. And I wasn't like a pushy person. And I don't mean pushy I wasn't pushy in a good way. Like one person would say no, and I go, you're right. And I just go back to the trailer. And all I cared about was getting good at stand-up, and then I would get to keep doing it. And I didn't know how that was going to happen or if it was going to happen. I just prayed it would happen. And eventually I got that AGT break, and that was such a huge thing, because then it didn't matter what the agent said. Everybody saw me, and it's like a back way around the field. And it was just such a break. And I didn't think they would even take me on the show at all. I was shocked. So it's just been such a joy. But even if it didn't happen, I would still be happy.
You made Simon Cowell laugh. He called you one of the funniest acts that he's ever saw. How does that feel? Simon Cowell.
Yeah, that was so cool. And because before the show, my daughters and I were backstage. That was my first live performance.
Really?
And my
I
daughters,
didn't know that.
at that night was the first audition, it was called. And so my daughters are backstage with me, and they're telling me, Mom, Simon's probably going to buzz you. So you have to, you're going to be buzzed. Once you get buzzed 3 times, you got to keep going, Mom. Unless you get 3 buzzers, then you need to get off stage. Because they were worried that I didn't even know how the show worked, because I never watched it.
Right.
And so I go, no, they told us the rules this morning. I got it. And so we made like a dance for me to give to Simon when he buzzed me. We had it all planned out. Wow. So it was such a shock, that he liked it. And I think I never knew how much I craved somebody's praise, because it just always, for me, it was like, don't even ask for that. Don't look for that. Just,
you're humble, because you're humble. You're a very humble lady.
Well, and it was kind of like, it's kind of like laying brick wall. That's kind of why I looked at comedy, like, lay brick. Who cares if you get a compliment, just keep laying the brick. And and also there were so many rejections that I got. I think I just couldn't look at I didn't have any hope for anything but just another rejection, I thought. And then when that positive energy just flowed over me, it was like, it just was shocking how wonderful it felt.
Yeah. And like the crowd, everybody, talk me through that experience. Like, I think anybody that watched it, and I think everybody in the world saw it, but your reaction, it was just so organic, so pure. Talk me through what was going in your head at the time.
I think that was that feeling, that this rush of, oh my God, my dream to get really good. Steve Martin said, you just get so good they can't ignore you. And then I always thought that was my mantra, but then I thought, oh, maybe Steve's wrong. Maybe it's not gonna work. But in that moment, I kind of felt like all the years of work, everything was just all in that one moment, kind of exploded. And I was just completely just blown away by it. I was just so grateful for it and surprised.
And what about your set? So let's go backwards for a minute and talk about your set. So how much time, any of us that do writing, we know that, it's not just coming out off the cuff. There's a lot of work that goes into writing each of the jokes. Your set was brilliant. First off, it was perfect. It was amazing. It was dead on, punch, punch, punch right through, high beginning, high ending. How long did you spend on writing this? And was this specific for this, or was this all of your best stuff combined into one?
So, I have been writing jokes for like 20 years. So I had a lot of jokes. I had jokes everywhere, all over the trailer. I had jokes in notebooks. I had jokes but I was never like the organized person like Phyllis Diller, or you see her jokes at the Smithsonian, or, So I had to gather all of my materials when I was getting ready. And then I try to put them on little cards. And then I would just put the cards out and then try to put sets together. And then I think I had about 2 months to prepare for that. I think I had about 2 weeks to prepare for my first audition, which was in a secret airplane hangar in Santa Monica, which was really weird. And so I think I did one of the jokes that I did on the original audition, but yeah, so it's very short. It's only 2.5 minutes, and that includes laughter. So you probably have a tops about 1 minute, 50 seconds of talking. So then you have to think that way. So it's just like strategy, like planning those sets. And then I would go up night after night in these clubs and do my 2 minutes and bomb every time. So that set that night, that set that was shown on the audition that I did, I had bombed that set at least 20 or 30 times to complete crickets before that, because I would go up in the middle of this club, people are just doing great things, and I would go about like 2 minutes to nothing. And by the time they saw my face, I had to sit down because I never wanted to go over the time, because I just wanted it to be very brutal. And it was so it was not, it's a weird experience getting ready for that show, but it was fun.
And thank you so much for that, Vicki. And when did you decide to audition? Was it your daughters that talked you into it, or was it you that you said, I'm doing it, that's it?
No. So I used to do this show called Hagfest. It was kind of a gay friendly show with a couple of girlfriends, and we danced, and it was so bad people threw food at us and stuff, but we had fun. And Sharon Houston was in it. And one day, and then we stopped doing it because frankly, Sharon was embarrassed of the show, but Sean, again, I thought it was funny. Anyway, so we stopped doing Hagfest, and I hadn't seen Sharon, but we left on good terms and everything. And so I hadn't seen her or talked to her for like 4 or 5 years, and she called me up and she goes, hey, how you doing? I'm like, hey, how you doing? I'm so happy to hear from you. She goes, listen, I'm not calling to chat, though it's nice to catch up. She goes, I'm working for AGT. I'm an outside producer, and you should audition. I go, oh, Sharon, you're gonna get fired. I literally she had just gotten the job. I'm like, you're gonna get fired if you bring me in, Sharon. You know that. Don't risk your job. Go call Sean, call Cynthia, call Eleanor, call all these other women, our friends. And she goes, no, they're British. They like you. And then when she said they were British, I got a tingle in my heart, because British audience members, wherever I've been, have been like, they like character, wacky stuff. And so I was like, really? And she goes, yeah. And I go, okay. And then I ended up in this airplane hangar with 3 people in a giant empty airplane hangar.
How did that feel? What was it, the sensation like?
It was so weird. I sat in the parking lot for like an hour early, because I live 2 hours from LA. So I always have to get there like a day early because of traffic, you never know. So I'm sitting there an hour early outside this airplane hangar, wondering what's going on. Are they going to fly me to Europe? But so anyway, I just wrote down, because I was so nervous, and I wrote down all the people that ever helped me, and all the reasons that I should be getting this opportunity. And I just sat there and I wrote that down to calm myself down. And then I went inside and I just did my little prepared thing. And they were like, they were like from like, they were 300 feet away from me, 3 people. And they go, well, that's very good. Do you have any more? And I go, well, I prepared, 2 minutes, but I put time in for laughter, but you're the shittiest audience I've ever had. I don't know if I could say that. Yeah. And then they started laughing, and that was it. And then I got on, but I would never have tried out. I would never have thought that they would take me.
Why? Because you thought you weren't good enough?
Because I'm not.
Or you were too in your head? Were you too in your head?
I always, like, I've been told I'm not mainstream enough to get on so many other shows. I thought America's Got Talent, I would be not mainstream enough for that. I mean, I thought the wackiness of me was exactly what they liked, but I thought it would be exactly what they wouldn't want. So I just just decided that without knowing anything. And and I would never have tried it.
Right. Thankfully for us all that you did, though.
I'm so glad I did. Thank you, Sharon.
And what about, talk to me about the judges' reactions, about meeting the judges. Were you starstruck? How did you handle it? Getting to see Howie, you're a comedian. So, that's like, oh my God, like that's.
He was a big favorite of Mitzi's. And Mitzi used to talk to me. She goes, you remind me of Howie, because Howie used to sell carpet too.
Yes, he did.
Carpet.
Yes, he did.
That's hilarious. And so he was really wonderful. And then I never saw, he stopped doing stand-up pretty much. He's doing it again now, but he was like doing all this productions and things. And so his name is all over the Comedy Store, and his neon lights with his name, but it was so cool to really see him. And then he gave me this big hug after the show, and I heard he doesn't like germs, and that was surprising. And that was really fun. And then, but the thing about Heidi Klum was, and Mel B was so wonderful, but
Yep.
in my trailer, since my girls were little, we used to watch Project Runway.
No. Oh my
and
gosh.
and we would move the furniture out of the trailer at least once a month and have a Project Runway party where my daughter's friends and their mothers would come over. I played Heidi Klum, and one of
Yes.
my comedy friends would play Tim Gunn. And
Rightfully so.
we would do a runway, we would do a project, we would do a challenge. And like we did this for years as the girls grew up. When they got married or had a baby, we would have the Project Runway party. And so I was like really freaked out about Heidi Klum, meeting her, and I was completely calm and cool like a cucumber till one night, I think it was like the third or fourth time I performed on the show, and they put me in an elevator, you know, like I was coming kind of late. They put me in an elevator, the gray elevator, the door shut, there's Heidi along the wall in a gray dress. I couldn't see her at first. And then she's next to this great big security guy. And I just lost it. I took one deep breath and I go, Heidi Klum, we used to do Project Runway in my trailer for 13 years, and I can't believe I'm meeting you right now. And it's just, and then the security guard reached around and touched the button for the next floor so they could get off really quick. But after that, I mean,
She loved you though. She loved you.
After that, she was like, she totally forgave me. Like you could just tell she was fine with me. She would come up and talk to me.
Oh, yeah.
Everything was fine. But it was like, I thought, oh no, she's never going to speak. She thinks I'm the craziest person. You know, when you lose it like that.
Yeah, when you're being calm, you're like, all right, I'm gonna go in and be totally.
Oh.
And you're like, what did I just do? What even happened?
It was like just the door shut. There she was, and I'm like, this is my moment. And then I went,
I'm here with Heidi Klum, like just totally go like fangirl, and it's something you would never do anyway. But you're just like, this is my chance to be calm and collective. And what the hell happened from your brain to your body? Yeah, you're just
no. Oh, I was like that when I met the beautiful singer from Britain, from AGT.
Alicia?
No, the first person like that became really famous from AGT. She lives in England still. She has the Christmas albums. She's maybe on the spectrum.
Oh, who's this?
Middle-aged. Helen Susan Boyle.
Oh, Susan. Oh, yeah, she's so good. You met her? Oh my, yeah, you must have.
Yeah, she was on Champions, and I had heard she might be on the spectrum, and my grandson's on I'm involved heavily in the autism community. Yes. Anyway, so I didn't want to like approach her, but she's got a bunch of Scottish handlers that she travels with, from young people from Scotland. And they kept telling me, you could come meet her, she likes you. Because I would just stare at her like a real weirdo. Like I would just be sitting there going,
that's our let's be normal look. I have the same one as you. Yep, this is us being cool. Yep.
Yeah. And so that was like another opportunity that because I didn't even trust myself to remain calm around her. And I don't really have trouble with any other celebrities. I meet them often, but these two, so I never really went up and had a chat with her. And I always regret that. Like if I ever get near her again, I'll take some, maybe some, I don't know, some mellow pills or something. I'll go talk to her.
Pop a couple of Ativan before you go see her.
Yeah, because she's so cool.
She's so cool. So, and that was going to be one of my questions was, so look, you've been doing a ton of stuff, and so you've pretty much been starstruck twice. And is there anybody else that you've come across where you've had that fangirl moment where you've just been totally out of, body experience?
I mean, I've really been held it together pretty well. Like, I mean, like when somebody introduced me to Vince Vaughn one night at the Comedy Store, and I was like, literally, I didn't recognize him, but I go, do you have an agent? Because you are so hot. And he was like, wow. So we became like,
he would have loved you. He would have loved you. Yeah.
Because we became friends because like nobody talks to him like that. But the one thing right now I'll have to say is I'm working the AGT live show in Las Vegas. I'm hosting it.
At the Luxor, right?
Yeah. And I'm telling you guys, if you can get a cheap flight to Vegas, it is a great show and it's family friendly. But every night when Cody Lee is there, I mean, when he sings, I say to God, what did I do to get to be right here, right now, hearing Cody Lee, ever? And I'm like just so, and so when I speak to him, like after the shows and his mom or his dad, I'm just such a goof. I'm like, Cody, I got the same, I made glitter boots. Now we both have glitter boots. And like, he's just looking at me like, oh, Vicki, you really are a goofball. But I'm so in love with him. And it's, when I'm around, I don't make any sense, but I just babble, and he's very nice about it.
Yeah, so we've interviewed a few other folks from AGT, Oliver Graves and
Yeah.
Cripple Threat, and one of the things that they talked about was taking negatives, making it into positive. And for Ryan, and I know that he's a fan of yours as well and loves you, who isn't, and that was one of the things he talked about. He said it's taking a situation and making the best out of it. So it's taking a situation where, for him, he said, having the disability isn't who he is. He said it impacts some places in his life, but how he's overcome it and also been able to use this as a platform. Has there been any point for you that you felt this is your platform and what you're doing about it?
Well, I think like ever since I started, and this was not planned in any way. I'll tell you what happened. I would constantly go to open mics when I first started, and people go, I like the fat chick. I like the fat chick. I like the fat chick. I got so tired of hearing, I like the fat chick. I literally said, I need to get a specific look that they can say something besides the fat chick. So I started getting really big. I used to wear big bouffant hair. And
Yes.
and then I started wearing animal prints.
Mm-hmm.
And then people would say, and it was so easy. They'd go, I like the chick in the animal print. And then, or the one that looks like a hooker. But I stopped hearing the fat chick so much because I was so tired of it. But what happened with that is that shift in the way I dress, the way I wear short things and too tight things, because I kind of think body positive means your clothes are just too tight. So I was body positive before like anybody, but it was only because I thought I looked really good. I thought I looked good. And so, but what happened was so many times women would come up to me and say, Vicki, I saw you and now I'm going to wear short sleeves. I'm wearing short sleeves. I wouldn't wear them before, but I see you up there. If you can do it, I can do it. And then, so that wasn't like an external thing that I meant to project. It was an accidental thing that I projected. And I kind of started thinking, well, cool. And I just really embraced, the possibility of making some people ill if they'd just eaten. And then the rest of the people just kind of dig in this crazy little, this inappropriate dress on a big girl. And now, over the years, that's just come to be normal. You're not, like, they criticize Lizzo for her stuff not being nasty enough.
And she's so pretty. She's so beautiful.
Yeah. And they go, oh, you're wearing too many clothes now, Lizzo. I mean, let her, it's like everybody should, but it's just funny like that. And then after an AGT on the night of the finals, when I did this bathing suit bit, and the only reason I did the bathing suit bit was not to empower women. It was because I had no other clean material left. And I thought it would be a good idea to say, I thought the final was going to be a bathing suit competition. And of course, it took NBC 2 days to approve that. They go, no, God, no. And then the guy goes, okay, but it's going to, and I was going, and then I started lying.
Yep.
I started saying, well, I think it'd be really empowering for big women to see a big woman in a bathing suit, blah, blah.
Yep.
And I didn't want to say I'm a loser with nothing else. You've got to take this.
Yep.
So I just like acting like it was like empowerment. And then he finally said yes. And he goes, but it's going to have to be a one piece.
Like, what's the difference? If we're empowering, why can't we wear a bikini at any time?
Like, really? Do you think I'm going to jump out in a bikini? I mean, really? I mean, and so, I mean, I was like really terrified of it the last couple nights before, but this guy at AGT named Kevin, the guy who made clothes there, they made me a bathing suit cover up. And I told him it cannot look like a bathing suit cover up. It'll ruin the joke. I get there 2 days before the finals. It looks like a bathing suit cover up. I'm like, oh, I'm sorry. Can you do anything else? Can you make a ruffle or a tighter belt? Anything. And the color was hideous. And that next day when I came in, it was like Cinderella, there was this most beautiful, beautiful dress with these amazing sleeves and a tight waistband that he stayed up all night and sewed for me.
Stop. What a sweetheart.
He is,
Because
I'll
he
never
knew
forget.
he needed to help your dream. So you helped him see it. And
Yes. And who would have done that for somebody they didn't even know?
what a
And so
sweetheart.
he was, and that I think if he didn't do that though, I might have chickened out on the bathing suit last minute because I was like so scared.
Yeah.
But what happened that night was really cool because we got like thousands and thousands of social media messages, and my daughter was running it all that night.
Oh,
And she goes, Mom, we were on the way to a party, and she goes, Mom, you've got to see this one. And it was from this woman. She goes, Vicki, all my life I've been overweight. I didn't even know if I wanted to keep going. But tonight I saw you, someone even fatter than myself in a bathing suit. And now I'm going to keep going. And we were like laughing, but it was so neat. And we got so many of those. And then the other thing was, because I started in gay clubs, and they were so supportive, they still are to me. I heard that night when I walked in front of like maybe 19, 20 million people in my bathing suit, I heard that I brought a lot of straight men over to the gay community. So I'm very glad.
But what I love the most about you is your confidence. So, and I have this conversation a lot with my friends, and we have debates about this, where confidence is what sells. It doesn't matter how big, small, what color you are, what race you are. It's your confidence at the end of the day. So when you talk about that, that's a fear. You had a fear and you overcame it. And what I like also the sets that you bring. So your sets are absolutely gorgeous. You already know that. And I mean, talk a little bit about the creative design to that, because it's really a reflection of you. It's you, like it's your own, you found a way. The best way to say this is you're a comedian and you found a way to brand yourself within a show. And that's absolute genius.
Well, what I think that the cool thing was, I never wanted to be called trailer trash. And I still get called trailer trash. People go, and the trailer trash.
I lived in a trailer. I hear you.
Right. So, and it's fine, but I wanted to elevate that a little. So then when I came up with years ago, I came up with trailer nasty. And it was just, it fit so much better because, I want to be a little nasty and I live in a trailer. And they have really embraced that at AGT, that whole idea, and the artists were great. And when we do like whatever we do, like graphics or whatever for our own things that we're promoting, it's always fun to it's the trailer world. And people always say, Vicki, do you really live in a trailer? I'm like, why are you even asking me that?
Yeah.
Do I look like I live in a gated community? Do I really? No.
But wait, what is there a specific look to a trailer nasty or to a trailer look though? Is there a specific?
I think if you did look up the dictionary under trailer park dweller, I would be there 100%.
I'd be under squatter. If you wondered where I was.
Exactly. That's another great idea.
Okay, so and that's what's great, because a lot of folks, when they live in the trailer park or live in the trailer home, then there's a stigma. So there's a stigma behind being a single mom. There's a stigma behind living in a trailer park. And and people that moved out of the trailer. One of my girlfriends and she lived in a trailer park for a long time too. She said, you can always tell when they get out of the trailer. I said, how? She said, you see a giant wooden fork and spoon hanging on the wall, they came from the trailer before. That's still a part of them. They took that with them.
A little bit came with them.
Yeah, a little piece of them was, and that was just the best response to Simon when you said that you would move in a different trailer park. It was just everybody. You killed everybody with just your off the cuff wittiness. And I want to talk a little bit about that for a minute. So since we're on the trailer park piece, so you also help with weddings. Talk about that piece. I'll let you talk about that.
Yeah.
An ordained minister.
Yeah. I love getting married. And they would say, do what you love, the money will follow. So about 7 years ago, but I realized Lou, my current husband and favorite so far, he's not seemed to go anywhere. So after both my daughters got married, I'm like, I really love marrying. I love wedding, the whole thing. So I started this little wedding chapel to go, and we bought a van and we had it wrapped. And so I would just go around and marry people. I had military weddings at Camp Pendleton, like $50, like $75, Semper Fi Fridays for military. And it was really fun. And the best thing about my wedding chapel that sets me apart of any other wedding chapel.
Because you're still doing it, right? Even
Yeah.
with all this, you're still.
Yeah.
My next wedding's going to be with you. Okay.
I can't wait.
Okay.
And everybody I've married has not been divorced.
Wow. Okay.
And so if you really are serious,
Yeah.
you got it. And so the other thing is, my wedding chapel to go is the only wedding chapel that offers, as far as I've ever been able to find, a $29.95 half-hour honeymoon in the back of the van. Because Lou built a platform, we have a double bed.
Yep.
It's champagne included, but you can't just rent it.
You got to get married to get it,
or have a vow renewal. Yeah,
you got to get that, or that is the classiest thing I've ever heard. I love it so much. So that's part of the package with it.
Well, if you want it, and not a lot of people do it, and nobody ever uses a half hour up. I would die if somebody lasted a half hour. But like recently we married this really two wealthy families in the trash business. Hilarious. They're both in the trash business. Up in the central coast of California. There's a very famous hotel called the Madonna Inn. They're getting married up there. And so we bring the van up there. The wedding is outside in these beautiful gardens. And they're the loveliest couple. And I meet them. I meet people before I do it. I get to know them really well. This ceremony is very specific in general, unless it's a quickie thing. But anyway, I got to know them. We're up there. And this girl I think her dress probably was over $30,000. I'm pretty sure. It was jewels everywhere and it was just massive.
Yes.
And she wanted to do the half-hour honeymoon. And I'm like, are you sure? Because we're going to shove this dress into this van. Like they took 4 people to shove this thing in. I'm like, are you positive? She goes, oh yeah, I'm on it. I want it. I don't care about this dress at all. I want this.
Oh, I love it. I love it.
It was so fun. But yeah, it's hilarious.
And so how many weddings are you doing now with everything else that's going on?
Hardly any. I did one in Arizona a couple months. Sorry.
Yeah, that's fine. No, that's fine.
Everybody's going to get vertigo.
That's fine.
I did one in Arizona a couple months ago. And then I'm doing a big 50th anniversary renewal this summer. But because I have to charge Sippily, unfortunately, so much money, unless I'm already going to be in your town, you'd have to bring me to your town. I have to give up a weekend of tour work. It's very expensive now.
Yeah.
So what I would love is if the AGT could settle out on the current certain dates that people could just come and I could marry them in Las Vegas. When I'm there, when they're coming.
Yes.
That would be like the perfect thing.
Yeah, that would be.
So we're kind of talking to them about that. And then, otherwise they're few and far between. And I wish I could do more, but I get it.
What's the most you've done in a day?
The most what?
The most weddings that you've done in a day.
Oh, I've only done one in a day. Well, no, that's not true. When I used to do the Semper Fi weddings, we would do like 3 or 4. Yeah.
And what got you? So the love of marriage itself is what got you into it?
I think like being around that feeling, that love in the air at a wedding, there's a lot of weird stuff that goes on, but
I love whenever you whisper, no one hears but me and you when we do.
Yeah, exactly. We're just like this.
Like just between us.
One time I drugged this guy, the groom was missing.
Yeah.
And the bride said, and I was so broke. And the bride said to me, Vicki, we can't. And so I said to the best man, look, where is he? And he goes, I think he's at this place called the Poorhouse Bar. Mm-hmm. So I said to the bride, I go, would you like me to go get him? And she just crying. She said, oh, please. So I went and got this guy off a bar stool. I said, man, you got to man up. You got to do that. I did not do that girl any service. I should have just said, you don't want to marry a guy who's in a bar, right? Yeah. But instead I'm like, I need $400.
Yeah, well, yeah, and you're helping her at the time because that's what she wanted.
I wasn't. I felt immediately. I didn't realize until I literally an hour afterwards, I started feeling really overcome with guilt. That was one of the meanest, most terrible things I've ever done. But I will never do that again.
And so, what has been your favorite memory in that industry so far to date, where you felt this is great, this is why I do what I did, or the most funny? I'll take both.
There's been so many special. There was a couple of gals that came down from LA, 2 attorneys that saw me on the show, and they wanted to get married at the trailer park lake, which is really a drainage ditch, but there's ducks and things like that. And they
I
only
love how you talk it sexy after that. There's ducks.
and so just the two of them are the guests, and no guests, zero.
Yeah.
And they're lovely women, and we're just there by the little lake, and I'm marrying them. And then Clark, who was on the show AGT when he was like the old man who always was in his scooter. Well, Clark came and buzzed the wedding in his scooter right above the lake and yelled, watch out for the crocodiles, ladies. And he kept doing it. And he would come back again, watch out for the crocodiles, ladies. And it was just so funny.
Oh,
and
is he the guy that you have on some of your specials? The guy in this? Yeah.
And
Yeah.
unfortunately, he passed away at 94 recently, but he was the sweetest guy.
Right.
But that was hilarious. And then one time there was this girl, and we did it down in the Mexico, and she was supposed to come in on a burro, and her father was late. So the wedding started late because the father was late arriving, and they'd been all drinking tequila in the sun for 2 hours.
Oh God.
And she now is supposed to come up. Now I'm waiting up there for her. She's coming up on a cart led by a burro. Well, the burro will not stop. The burro is now just going full speed, circling everybody who's sitting out there drunk. So all the drunk people get up, like 100 drunk people, and they're chasing after the burro in the cart. I mean, like, I hope there's video of that, because that was one of the funniest things I ever saw.
I love it. Thank you so much for that. And we have, I think, about 18 minutes left. The next question I want to get to, let's talk about the podcast, and then we'll get into some of the live shows. But what is the podcast? When did it get started, and why a podcast on top of everything else that you're doing now, Miss Vicki?
Well, my best friend Sean Pulaski is my opposite land friend. Her father's a neurosurgeon. She lives in Beverly Hills. Everything she has is perfect. She will not. I can't drag her into a thrift store to save my life, and I don't want to go to Bloomingdale's with her. But we have been best friends for like 20 years, and we're very opposite. But during the pandemic, we approached Al Madrigal, our friend at All Things Comedy, and we said, we'd love to do a podcast. And I had done with my friend, but I couldn't really get it off the ground. And another friend, and so we went to All Things Comedy, and so they have production studio, and they said, yeah. And Al came up with this idea. He goes, I'm thinking diaries. Nobody's done a diary podcast. Right. So when we wanted to be trailer centered, and so we pretend that Shanika, my best friend, moves into the trailer park because she got a divorce and has no money. And we find this barrel of diaries. So I started reaching out for diaries to people. I'd go on podcasts and ask for diaries. I put ads in our trailer park paper. We got a bunch of diaries, and then we started looking at them, and we had to manipulate them. Yeah, but the first season was about Porky, and it's available on every podcast platform. It's about a teenage girl that wrote this diary, and it was very interesting and fun to do. And we have a blast doing it because we make a cocktail at the beginning of every show, a new cocktail. And then so that was season 1, and that you can see anywhere, but you should watch it in a row because it is episodic. Trailer Park Diaries. And then the next season that we just finished recording is naughty. It's like 50 Shades of Grey diary.
Okay.
I kept having to put it down. I was like, I couldn't read it. And it was like
covering your eyes up, skipping.
I was covering my eye, like, oh my God, I hope my daughters aren't ever going to listen to this. And Shanika and I were like dying laughing so much. We were like, and the other day I had to do episode breakdowns and listen to 8 of them in a row over a couple days. And I talked to Shanika this morning, like gay cruise work, and she got back. I go, Shanika, I was listening to the first 8 episodes. I'm telling you, I don't like anything. And this was so funny. She goes, she was doing some clips from it. She goes, I know this turned out really funny, but you wouldn't think it because it's so erotic.
But that's the best thing to go off. So basically you're improvising on these diaries, right?
Yeah.
You're taking these, and are you making like the memories your own? Are you making them your thoughts? Like
we're reading the diary, and then it prompts us to remember things and argue about the situations. So we're remembering our own stories, and then we're arguing about what's going on. And then the other thing is, when you're on a podcast, like you interview people, it's different when you're in studio because you are very more aware that the camera's right on you.
Correct.
But when you're doing Zoom and you leave you pretend, you forget you should not say half the things you're saying, right?
Verbal diary of the mouth, I think they call it. Yeah.
So like every time I'm like, can we edit? Can we edit? And they're like, no.
No, that's the goal though. I think that's because it's off the cuff. It's what you said and it made sense. And that's the beauty of it. It's very organic. It's very wholesome. Like that's where some of the best lines come from. So what is something that folks would be surprised to learn or to hear from that? Or to take away from it? Like, what is your audience for this? Is your audience like toward moms like me?
I literally keep on the first season, children could be in the room. Yep. Well, not really. I wouldn't let a child near Shanika and I talk anyway. So it's not for children. Certainly the second season is not for children, but it's like, I think our audience is mostly women, a lot of gay men, mm-hmm. and a few straight men. We keep mm-hmm. thinking, will any straight men like this show? And a few have said yes, but I think they're guys that actually know us. But you don't mm-hmm. know. I don't know.
Yep.
I don't know. I mean, there's a way to find all that out, but I'm not very technical.
And what has been your favorite part of this whole experience of doing the podcasting, and why?
Literally, you know, for me, for Shanika and I, we were so lonely during the pandemic for each other because we used to see each other all the time at the comedy store in Hollywood. And we visit, but we didn't because of COVID. But we had to go in studio every week. And then also we did all the preparation together, which took 3 or 4 months for that first season. So we were constantly talking on the phone, Zooming back and forth. So it was really fun to be with her. And the second season, now that COVID's kind of lifted, it's just been fun to continue it. And it's just, mainly it's been being with her. I've really enjoyed. And the guys at All Things Comedy have been just super fun to work with too. So it's been all in all. And then people's reaction to it has been really fun.
And what has been, to gear back to the live shows, how long have you been doing the live shows now? And talk me through who some of the folks are on the live shows and what you've been the most surprised about, Vicki.
So the AGT live shows, I think I started doing them in February.
Okay.
And literally, honestly, I love, and they were on my season. I love Duo Transcend, Mary and they're the nicest people, and they're the most talented human beings ever. I mean, their bodies are, and they have, after AGT, they work so solid. Their bodies don't even look like humans anymore. They don't even look like human bodies.
That's crazy. How do people do that?
They just work out all. Yeah.
I love food so much.
Yeah. I think they probably can eat because
they're working out.
They probably burn 4,000 to 5,000 when Bryce is just constantly on the ground doing push-ups. Like, hello, Bryce. You know, he's always, and Mary is just constantly there because they have to be so strong because Mary loves him now.
Yeah.
And it is a beautiful thing to see. And then, of course, Cody Lee. And then I really love Dangerous Games.
Yes, me too. Oh my, I can't. I get so, I'm at home watching and I'm just like, but I got to see it and I don't want to see it. And I'm like.
Backstage, there's a medic and we all just stand in a row and nobody says a word. And then I go on right after them and I get to make some nasty jokes about them that children can hear, but they're very innuendo.
Yeah.
It's very fun. And so just seeing that every day. And then just all the acts are just great. But my favorite, of course, is Cody Lee is like the most incredible person.
So ever. Talk to me about that. So you said you have a grandson with autism. You connect with that. I too have a son on the spectrum as well. Talk about that a little bit.
Well, I adore all the friends that I made that are on the spectrum because we spent a lot of time with the organization in San Diego.
Of course.
And there's a lot of autism in our family. And so but I always feel like these people have a special gift, like when they say special needs, I mean, I think they have like they're profoundly talented in so many ways. And without them,
of course,
I don't think there'd be a Silicon Valley, I really appreciate all of them. And Cody, he is so sweet. He is the sweetest, happiest, most joy-filled. He'll work all day long and never complain. He's asked to do a lot of private and corporate events. He'll just go do that, zip back into the to the theater with not a drop of sweat. He's just happy to sing and talk to people. So it's just, he's the best.
And what does it feel like? What was your reaction when they'd asked you to host? Like, how did that feel? Like, were you like, wow, I've made it? Do you know you've made it yet? That's because, or do you still have imposter syndrome?
I have a lot of imposter syndrome, like most people. But honestly, I thought they should ask me to host. I thought they should ask me right in the beginning. I'm like, I knew I didn't know I could host. I knew it would be hard. And I was terrible at first. I mean, I was awful. Ugh. I would stand up there and forget the next act, and the director would have to yell, "Deadly Games." I mean, literally, my mind, for about 2 weeks, I was so bad. I cannot believe they didn't fire me. I wanted to get good at it, and I wanted to get good doing my sets in that environment. And now I finally feel like I've made it to the point of the shows I'm confident, I'm enjoying it, the audience is loving it, the whole show. And I'm just, hosting is such a great thing to be part of. But I love doing it. I really do. It's, even if you have to be in hot Las Vegas all summer.
Thank you for that. I think we have about 6 minutes left. So a couple more quick questions is, talk about some of your upcoming shows in addition to this, because you've been traveling like crazy. How many shows are you doing roughly in a week or a month? And are you getting any downtime?
I have this week off, and I'm really happy. But I think about 3 weekends a month I'm on the road. Okay. And then AGT's just filling up all my extra time. And then I'm doing this really fun thing at Busch Gardens in Williamsburg, Virginia, at 35 shows in 10 days.
Oh my God, that's going to be amazing.
I know, it's going to be wild.
That's insane. That's crazy. Yeah. That's amazing.
Yeah.
So you're doing lots of those shows. And so some of the questions I have for you is, do you watch Netflix? Probably you do, but what are you watching right now? Or what's your favorite go-to?
I watch a lot of things, but Lou and I just started watching The Offer, and I'm taking a couple of acting classes, and I always listen to what people are talking about in the classes. And I was in a class yesterday, and the teacher was talking about The Offer, and it's really good. The story of the making of The Godfather. It didn't seem interesting to me. God, it's so good. But I love I love comedies, and are you doing any of the stand-ups? I hardly ever, I don't want to watch too much stand-up because I see so much of it in clubs, but I also don't want to, I don't know. There's a certain level of how much comedy I think I should watch. I mean, so. That's
fair. So you're watching all murder documents, like
murder documentaries.
Yep, all the killer, psycho, serial stuff. That's the way to go.
Bridgerton was big for me.
Speaking of murder, Bridgerton, good segue.
Love it. My daughters and I would watch Bridgerton once a week. Yes. And we dress up, and literally we're weirdos.
I love it. You dress up for it? Are we related?
You probably are. Are you Ukrainian?
I want to be. I always dress up for like any event that's going on, and it destroyed my kids in school because I'd show up as a giant chicken, or I'd show up as, just dress crazy all the time. Because when somebody says I have an event, in my mind, I'm like, what costume do I need to get for this? Not, because yourself, the outfit's what makes the event. And then it's naming the event is as important also. So we had some shows here that we did, and one of them I called it, speaking of 50 Shades of Grey, 50 Shades of Fog, because we're a fog city. And I was like, wow, it's going to be some foggy stuff, right? And
that's funny.
Just ways to be able to look at that. But the outfit and the dressing up, because you got to be in character, otherwise you look weird.
Yeah, and why not? I mean, a lot of people can't. I remember I dressed up as SpongeBob. I made my own SpongeBob outfit. It was huge, and SpongeBob was so new. The assistant principal came up and told me that I was frightening the kindergartners and I had to leave.
And in your mind, you're like, I'm so sorry, but in your head, you're dying, laughing your butt off, where you're just like, what? And what has been the craziest costume that you've had, though?
Well, I actually love to do this. I have a showgirl outfit that they made me for AGT when we did the live show after my season. Mm-hmm. They take you all to Vegas. Anyway, so it's a showgirl outfit. So I like to walk up and down the strip and pretend to be a showgirl getting money. And no one ever gives me money, but it's so much fun. I'm like, would you like your take a picture taken with the showgirl? Yeah, but you'll do. I mean, it's really fun.
And what has been the most frightening experience for you doing all of this?
I don't know. I think that it was probably the bathing suit for sure. It took me, what I did that day, all day long, was I put on my high heels and I walked in that bathing suit backstage the whole day, except at lunch because I was kind.
Yep.
But I remember these kind of executives walking through, and most of the people are extremely nice, connected to AGT, like fabulously nice. But there were some people walking through. I don't know where they're from, NBC or something.
Right.
And they saw me in my bathing suit. And one lady goes, "What's she doing?" And the other woman goes, "Trying to steal the show." And at first I was offended. And then I went, well, maybe.
Right. I mean, yeah. So what's been your favorite city to perform in so far? Or can you not answer that so you don't get anyone in trouble?
No, I get you. I cannot tell you. There is one city that is going to be, because it is a little city
if you want.
It's okay. It's in Wisconsin, and it is a tiny little town, and they build fire trucks there. And I go there, and it's a Wednesday night. My feature Jesse's with me, and we've just been in some wild city. We think we're going to go to this little city and relax, and it's called Appleton.
Appleton, okay.
And so we get there, and there's 6 bars on Wednesday night open on this one street. I mean, it's crazy. We go into this one on the corner. We go, and everybody said, "You got to go to the one on the corner." We go there, and we go inside, and it's Christmas all year round, and it's filled with men. And I'm like, oh my God, it's a gay bar, but I'm not getting the gay vibe. I don't feel it.
Yep.
And then I realize these are all firemen.
Wow.
And I'm like, "What's up?" And I'm the only girl in there besides one waitress. Well, I'm like, I'm in heaven. I'm died. I went to heaven. And it turns out that they build the Pierce fire trucks are built there. So they bring in firemen to wine and dine them and let them pick their equipment, and then they fly them back home. So I always say, if you're going to have a bachelorette party, don't go to Vegas, don't go to Nashville, go to Appleton, Wisconsin, and go to this bar where the firemen, and the one fireman, he goes, "Vicki, if you just go hang out at the Red Lion Inn around 11 o'clock at night, we are all so drunk, you will get lucky with as many firemen as you want." So that's my favorite town.
So for anyone that's watching right now, then that's Appleton. So
plan that bachelorette, ladies.
And the bachelorette. Thank you so much, Vicki. We do appreciate you coming by today. For everybody listening, thank you. Love you, huge fan from all your Canadian friends.
You guys, if you have a club near you, please call them and ask them to book Vicki Barbolak, because I'm dying to get out there.